What has the COVID-19 virus made you realize? That I was working too hard. Because of all the suffering. I'm actually kind of ashamed to admit this has been great for my mental health. I miss hanging out with my brother and sister. We're all in our late 20s-ish. I'm the oldest at 30, and the three of us have hung out all day every day for 8 days now. I love it. Our system isn't prepared for a big outbreak of some kind of sickness. Having the option to do something and not doing it sucks far less than not having that option at all. How much we take for granted that everything just works. That things like a global supply chain just work. In the dead of winter. Reliably expect to see oranges in the produce aisle. How much we now rely on others as a society. Globally. We rely on manufacturing from around the world. Food grown around the world. They rely on our purchasing things. How incredibly connected we can be. With modern ships and airplanes and the internet. And how we didn't realize how fragile that was. When this all started, I didn't care about toilet paper. Or food for myself. I only cared about one thing. Was I going to be able to feed my cats? They are broken and spoiled. They have special dietary needs. Would I be able to get a reliable source of DD venison and green pea? Or hydrolyzed proteins? And no teeth. Would the pet stores have enough stock of wet food that he could tolerate? And it humbled and awed me to see an orderly line in front of the vet's office of people maintaining social distance. Isn't it funny? What we take for granted. I never thought. One guy hollered. That I would ever be worried about finding food for my dog. That men wage workers are way more important than people think. And that people would be screwed without entertainment. I was not washing my hands enough. I'll probably never get to hug my grandpa again, and he'll die thinking his family abandoned him. He's over 90 and in a nursing home. He can barely hear and is almost completely blind, so it's very difficult for him to comprehend what's going on and why we can't go see him. That a company can run 5 months without a CEO. But it can't run a single day if workers do not show up all at once one day. That I'm suddenly really glad my parents are dead. No, seriously. I see everyone so worried about their elderly folk and I just don't have that worry. I'm grateful. That the country is full of wankers and idiots. That I basically practice social distancing every day already. Just how privileged I am. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty that keeps me up at night. But compared to the trouble a lot of people are in, my worries are nothing. This country is full of people having to choose between risking their family's health versus risking eviction. Folks with parents in nursing homes who they can't visit. Hospital workers who are living in their garages because there are PPE shortages at work and they are afraid of infecting their families. How many jobs meetings really can be done remotely? I didn't realize how much my work defined who I am. I'm a barber, and after a week and a half of not doing it, I feel very incomplete. As cheesy as it may sound. It's my art form and it gives me a lot of meaning. I'm very hopeful, though, that I'll make it through this and be able to do it again. Australian here. It was pretty clear that our government didn't manage the bushfire crisis very well. Our Prime Minister in particular was totally tone deaf. When this COVID-19 started spreading, I was willing to give the government the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they learned from the bushfire clusterfuck. But no. Every day it is becoming more and more obvious that they are completely terrible at managing a crisis of this magnitude. And it will cost a lot of lives. I have also learned that a lot of Australians are selfish and or stupid. For frick's sake. Stop acting like a bunch of hungry cockatoos and pull your bloody heads in. How much food I actually waste on a regular basis. I always thought we did pretty good about not buying too many groceries or making too much, ordering too much, etc. How wrong I was. I set a goal for our household that we would use up all of our leftovers before making new stuff. It's forced me to be creative and experiment in the kitchen. Really shows you how long your pantry fridge can actually last you. 1. Truck drivers and healthcare workers really are the backbone of this country too. Confirmed that celebrities are incredibly out of touch with the real world. We're all in this together from my $40 million mansion. It's natural human tendency to socialize. Most people are feeling extremely bad without social interaction. That really freaking stupid people think toilet paper is a priority. That I have no real hobbies. Teachers are extremely patient. Loss of structure in schoolwork leads to downward spirals in depression. Professors are struggling to provide adequate information and have more difficult tests since they are take home, which leads to a huge disconnect for the students. My university has not provided structure guidelines for the professors to abide by, so it's all over the place, and in particular, all of them are not doing video conferencing. Spiraling into thoughts of possibly not graduating this semester because of this. My mom's dying wish was for me to walk across the stage for my college graduation, but with all this going on, my university wants to do virtual graduations. My mom is heartbroken. The degree to which ignorance is prevalent in our society. And perhaps a bit proud of my community for pulling together to do the right thing for the collective good. We are all minor heroes for accepting reductions in our wealth in order to protect the vulnerable and those who protect us. That loss of income is, for me, scarier than the risk of losing my life. I'm a 28-year-old single mom. I have an autoimmune disease, AS, and AMP, history of arts. I am absolutely in the at-risk category. The state I live in has a safer at-home order, where essential businesses still operate. I manage a home improvement company, and we're the most non-essential essential business there is. We don't do any repairs, just work on making houses prettier, basically. But since we can't stay open and AMP, my bosses are pig-headed fools who don't take the virus seriously whatsoever. I have two options: go to work and AMP, risk contracting a potentially deadly illness, or choosing to stay home, where I would not be able to draw unemployment and I could, and most likely would, lose my job. The thing that pisses me off the most is that one of my bosses came in yesterday complaining of feeling sick. We have no work right now. Stay the frick home. Dude, I have 3 vacation days to last me until the end of May and AMP. This company doesn't offer sick days or anything like that. I feel so stuck. I need the money so I can feed my kids and AMP, keep a roof over their heads. I wish they would just close so I could officially get laid off and draw some unemployment. Sorry. I didn't expect for this to be so long. I guess I needed to vent. Print newspapers might just die because of this. That I'm actually an freaking extrovert. That people are in fact as poopty and selfish as we all thought they were. The working class has the most power they've ever had right now. Edit, speaking from the US, although I'm sure it's true elsewhere, and the downside, likely nothing will come about because of it. A large portion of this country lives paycheck to paycheck. We've been self-isolating for 2 weeks now, and being with him makes the biggest difference to my overall happiness. That most folks, even those who make $100K plus it, are much closer to poverty than they are to being a billionaire. Our success is held together by some hard work, but mostly by luck. That people don't know shit. Edit, or to put it more eloquently, the higher the monkey can climb, the more it shows its tail. 2 things. 1. Minimum wage workers are the backbone of our society. 2. Americans act so irrationally during a crisis. It's a miracle that they haven't gone extinct yet. I am from Singapore. COVID-19 made me look at things in the bigger picture. While many of us are spoiled by our relatively efficient healthcare, we failed to see how badly affected the other regions of the world are. Overwhelmed hospitals, people on the verge of bankruptcy, people having to choose between death by virus or death by poverty. We failed to see how lucky we are because we do not need to worry about our day-to-day survival. We can focus on working from home or social distancing. But we have people who chose to leave their homes to travel despite the government's constant advisories. And so, COVID-19 made me appreciate what I have much more than I ever did. No one loves me. Not a single soul has messaged me. Send love. I am in desperate need of cuddles. The world is small. Really small. And no matter the borders, we are all a viral highway. The human race, why? Everyone is freaking vulnerable. If it wants to frick you raw, it will raw dog you until it kills you. It reminded everyone, including the wealthy, that money doesn't make anybody a better, more powerful human being. We are all dependent on one another. Without the poorest workers, the system fails. It's time to seize the day once this is over. I'm not going to hesitate to show the people that I love how I feel. Afraid. And in pain. And I miss having them there for me. How much you touch your face and how often you touch public surfaces. Socially. And scientifically when we all collaborate together on one issue. I am afraid of death. Especially a slow and painful one. I don't want this poop. Civilization is super fragile. That I can kick my suicidal thoughts to the curb. And beat them back when they come through. How selfish people are. I have lupus, and because of the high demand of Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine, by people who are misinformed, me and other people with lupus can no longer receive the dosage we were put on by our doctors. I will soon run out and be in a severe amount of pain from joint swelling and rashes, and it will now affect my online classes because I have extreme fatigue and pass out sometimes. It just makes me sad and scared to go back to being in pain. That I actually love being in the house a lot. That people are horrible and that at the first sign of trouble they will turn against each other and panic. Most people do not understand exponential growth. That most employers don't give a poop if a pandemic seeps through their employees. That I'm introvert. Weeks of isolation and I don't really give a FCK. Being on quarantine is difficult as frick living out to your car. A huge percentage of Americans pay no attention to world news. We have the benefit of hindsight here and everyone is acting like they don't know what is coming next. That all of the things the government said wasn't possible, like a UB or affordable healthcare, are actually very possible. That 99% of celebrities are absolutely useless and overhyped. I realize that nobody gives a poop about construction workers because we're all still working for no reason and one of our union members just died from it last night. Also, rich companies can keep making profits. That I took so many things for granted, like going to restaurants and just being able to go to a supermarket without worrying about what they may or may not have. Tomorrow is never promised. Life's too short and we aren't prepared to handle this situation. How much my best friend means to me. Heard his voice after a week at home. We are both very introverts, so don't call that much. So when we finally found a game to play together, our first interaction went like this. Me. Hey friend. Hey me. It's good to hear your voice again, friend. I missed you. Me. Missed you too. We are like butterflies that flutter for a day and think it is forever. Carl Sagan. How introverted I actually am. I am perfectly okay with staying home. I have a treadmill and kettlebells for the workouts. My dog gets to go on 3-4 walks a day. I really enjoy cooking and never went to restaurants anyway. My house is clean as a whistle. People suck. You tell them one thing, they do what they want. Selfish assholes won't stay home. I hate saying that. Remember the golden rule. Love conquers all.
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.